Welcome everyone to the Wellness Universe Lounge. Thank you for joining us today for the Mental Health Awareness 2025 event, Wellbeing for All. Our first of 4 live sessions today features a panel of Wellness Universe experts speaking on mental well-being, a holistic health perspective. I'm your moderator, Jean Voice Dart, expressive arts therapist and grief and trauma specialist. My intention is that each of you will walk away from this panel event with a new perspective and deeper insights on your own physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and environmental needs, and valuable holistic health tools and practices to benefit your mental well-being. Wellness for All programs are free and supported by you. Your generous donation supports a nationally recognized mental health organization and the Wellness Universe to continue to offer our programs to those in need, free. The link to donate now or later is in the chat. And thank you to Leah Skirdal, CEO of the Wellness Universe. She's helping us by pasting information in the chat. We appreciate a rating and a review of this session upon completion. And we hope that you find this and all of today's sessions a 5-star experience. Mental health is the foundation of our overall well-being, yet for too long, mental health challenges have been hidden from public view. At this Mental Health Awareness 2025 event, we recognize that mental well-being is inseparable from how we move, breathe, think, and connect with the world. A holistic approach challenges us to look beyond symptoms and diagnoses, to embrace physical, emotional, environmental, and mental factors, using various practices for optimal health. So before we get started with our discussion, I would like you to join me in a brief exercise to explain our intention and prepare ourselves to receive from our expert panel. So let's take a minute now and get comfortable, closing your eyes and opening your heart to receive gifts of wisdom from our expert panel. Taking a deep, relaxing breath, inhaling and exhaling. Please take a moment to feel and identify what is happening in your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. Asking, what do I need today? As you continue breathing deeply, I invite you to set your intention to receive the gifts you seek from this supportive community. To close our exercise, you can imagine a warm wave of relaxation easing your breath, steadying the heartbeat, calming, balancing, and soothing every system within you and connecting you with the divine. Thank you. So please slowly bring your awareness back to the room and join me in welcoming our expert panel of wellness professionals. It's my honor to introduce to you 4 brilliant holistic health experts for this insightful discussion, Mental Well-Being, a Holistic Health Perspective. Each speaker brings unique wisdom, experience, and insights. We have Dillon, Emotions Master Teacher, Linda Dieffenbach, owner of Wellness in Harmony, Lisa Charles, CEO of Embrace Your Fitness, and Holly Blazina, Ayurvedic gut consultants. So let's start in that order, Ilene, Linda, Lisa, and Holly, and go around. And if you could share just a 1-minute little bit more about yourself, I would appreciate that. Ilene?
Yes, thank you, Jean. I'm expanding from a solopreneur
Oh, you're muted. There you go.
I'm expanding from a solopreneur, marriage and family counselor and psychotherapist to a world expert and master teacher of emotional mastery and heart health. I'm currently I'm in a preparation phase. I have a small internet practice, but I'm writing and creating courses and building my list and speaking for events, building the basis for my dream, which is to create a program for teaching and coaching people into mastery over emotions. I'm also writing about ending manipulation, about anger mastery for conscious parents, and I'm developing material about our Earth as a giant school and how to work within that system to empower ourselves. You can find me on emotionalmasteryforlife.com. And I also want to mention that my brilliant son is pushing me to start creating reels for Instagram. So it looks like I'm not going to be retiring soon, and I invite you to come join my crusade. Thank you.
Okay, very, very good. Thank you so much. It's just a pleasure to have you here. And Linda, would you like to just share a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Jean. It's really such an amazing honor to be here with you and with all of these amazing women here today. I am a trauma-informed coach and energy healer, and I guide people through healing, self-discovery, and personal empowerment. And to me, supporting mental and emotional health means creating safe, compassionate space where people can really reconnect with who they are, reconnect with their wholeness so they can heal their wounds and step into that full expression of wholeness beyond stress, trauma, or pain. And it's really such a deep honor to do this work. And I'm so grateful to be part of this event today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lisa? Go ahead, Lisa.
Happy to be here. And now I'm muted. Mental health is at the heartbeat of everything that I do. I know what it's like to silently struggle with anxiety and with stress while on the outside being strong as we think we need to be at all times. I was a former federal prosecutor, definitely led into that light, definitely wore that mask of strength all the time and not recognizing what was boiling underneath. So I'm happy to say that I moved on because my life allowed me to find this other direction. I am a keynote speaker. I am a brain-body business alignment specialist. And I really focus on helping people, putting truth on trial, helping people to shed their limiting beliefs, to reconnect with their authentic self, and to rebuild from the inside out. I like to say the first half of my life was putting people behind bars, and the second half, I get to be opening the bars to freedom.
Beautiful. I love your enthusiasm. Okay, and Holly?
Hello, thank you so much for having me here today. So I help people unlock the food and mood shifts they need to heal their gut distress using my signature Gutsy type method. And I like to attend to the entire gut, heart, mind, and spirit axis, as I call it, because in my experience, gut health is about so much more than food. It's about regulating your nervous system. It's about incorporating your spirit, incorporating your purpose. And of course, the solar plexus is very much our power center. So if we've got issues with food, then we also are going to feel that we're disempowered in some way. So I'm here to help people get in alignment with that whole system.
Very important. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing a little bit about yourself. Let's move forward now to questions. And I'm going to ask a couple of you to answer one question. Each of you will have about 4 minutes to respond. So first, let's start with holistic health, because that's why we're here. We all believe in the power of holistic health. And particularly in your own words, what does holistic health mean? And how does it differ from traditional healthcare practices, particularly with treating mental health challenges? So I'm going to ask Linda and Linda and Ilene to talk about that. Go ahead,
Would you like me
Linda.
to- Okay, great. So for me, I view holistic health as an approach to well-being that considers the whole person, not just physical symptoms, but also mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic aspects of health. And it also takes into account the influence of trauma, cultural conditioning, family and community systems, and the broader social and environmental context that shapes our experience. So rather than focusing on solely treating symptoms, holistic health explores the root causes of imbalance and draws from a variety of modalities to support the healing process. And while traditional Western medicine has historically emphasized physical symptoms and pharmaceutical treatments, I love seeing how it's beginning to really truly evolve and embrace more of a holistic perspective. Many medical practitioners now really recognize the impact of stress, lifestyle, diet, movement, and emotional health on the overall sense of well-being. And I love how there's also growing awareness of how trauma, including intergenerational and cultural trauma, affects the nervous system and long-term health outcomes. So we are really seeing a lot more integration of complementary approaches in medicine now, in traditional healthcare, such as acupuncture, mindfulness, focus on lifestyle, diet, exercise, and Reiki and things like that in clinical settings, which is really exciting. And these shifts really reflect a broader movement towards truly comprehensive care. One that really sees people as not as isolated systems, but as whole beings shaped by complex life experiences.
And do you want to share something personally about how you use holistic health practices with mental health?
Sure, it's really integrated into my work. When I'm working with people individually, I'm really focused on looking at the whole aspect of their life, making sure that I'm connected to other practitioners who can provide services that I cannot. And for me personally, I seek out, in addition to my primary physician, I seek out services through acupuncture and nutrition and movement and exercise, body work, energy work, all of those things.
Thank you so much. And Ilene, would you like to share a little bit about holistic health and mental health?
Well, I immediately laugh when you ask the question because I had the signature experience of being married to a Western medicine, a neurosurgeon, while I am an alternative medicine person. So I've explored this in depth, what the difference is on a very personal level. The first time I was around my husband and got a cold, the first thing he said was, "You want some drugs?" And I said, "No." Thank you. Didn't want it. But by the time we were together for 20 years, and by the time it was getting toward the end for us, he was asking me to help his daughters get over their illnesses and so forth, using alternative medicine. I look at this very much, Linda, I really like what you offered there, but I'm looking at holistic medicine in terms of whole people. I've done a lot of work with conscious parenting, for example. And one of the key things that I offer in conscious parenting is how important it is for us to take full responsibility for our own lives. And to me, that's part of holistic health. Because if I turn my health over to somebody else, I see a doctor or a health practitioner as a partner with whom I work. I was diagnosed with a breast cancer in 2017, and I had the good fortune of being paired up with the head of breast oncology surgery at Duke Medical Center, who worked with me. I didn't take it, I didn't have it removed for a year. I did diet, raw diet, qigong, worked with anger, a number of things, which to me is a holistic way of doing that. At the end of the year, I had not healed the cancer, which is what I was experimenting with, but it had not grown at all, and it was removed. It was very small, and I've had no recurrence and no difficulties. So that's where I think, and by the way, most of the people in my family were furious with me because I took responsibility instead of turning it over and taking the shortcut and getting it cut out, which is part of what we want to get past. I also want to say that, like Holly, you were talking about the whole spectrum. We have three very powerful minds, and we're talking mental health, and I think that almost does us a disservice to call it mental health, because it's really heart health. The heart's, so we have a heart mind, and the heart's electrical field is about 60 times greater in amplitude than the electrical activity that's generated by the brain. And the Heart Math Institute has done a lot of research into that, and they say that the heart plays a bigger role in life than brain intelligence and guidance, and that our heart can influence thinking, acting, feeling, awareness, perceptions, and intelligence. And that leads me to the key thing for, quote, mental health, we can also call it heart health, that we need to do, which is to love ourselves.
Yes.
We arrive on the earth full of self-love. We don't hesitate to wake our parents up in the middle of the night if we want something when we're young. And then we slowly lose it. And the whole point of health is that the world runs, though the universe runs on health, on heart, on love. And we need to stay tuned into it. So holistic health really, to me, is finding every possible way I can to love myself, to fill me with love. Once
Okay.
I'm filled with love, I spread it out, and then it comes back to me. And that's holistic health and heart health / mental health to me.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I love what you're saying. And I know that you and Linda have that in common. Linda, with her work with the inner child and learning to love yourself. Linda is very, very skilled with that, working with that. And you, Ilene, with the emotions and learning to love yourself. Thank you for bringing that up. That's so important. And thank you both for sharing what holistic health is. I very much appreciate that, because some of those people coming in maybe not have a clear understanding of what we're doing today, what this is about. So thank you. So we're going to move forward. And I did see a comment here in the chat by Charlene. Let me see if I can see that. Leah, can you read that to us?
Yes, Charlene says, I share this. We're responsible for our health and well-being and cannot delegate it or outsource it to others.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you very much. So I'd like to move on to physical challenges. I know that often people make unwise decisions about proper exercise, cleanliness, sleep, nutrition. When they're stressed, depletes neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which are essential for emotional well-being. So we know that physical health and mental health interact, and sometimes, when we are having a mental crisis, we just maybe want to sit on the couch and watch movies and eat bad food and not do what we need to. What can we do to break through that when we're having a mental challenge and take care of ourselves? How do we do that? Holly and Lisa, would you like to talk about that? Let's start with Holly.
Yes, I'd love to talk about that. There are a couple of Ayurvedic principles I'd love to share about that, because so the first principle is that when we're out of balance, we crave foods and activities that perpetuate that imbalance. And when we are relatively in balance, we desire whatever's going to keep us in balance. And so we have to really be gentle with ourselves and recognize that this is a natural human tendency, and not to blame or shame ourselves for whatever it is we crave. And at the same time, we have to use our higher mental functions to say, well, is this going in a direction that's working for me? And we can't just always do what we feel like doing. Sometimes we have to do what we feel like doing. And at the same time, this brings me to my second Ayurvedic principle, is that sometimes the hardest thing to do is the very thing that we most need to do. And that's going to be the thing that's going to give us the best results. So as an example, we all know what it's like to be overstimulated. And very often what we do when we're overstimulated is to go for more stimulation. And what we actually need to do, and the hardest thing to do, is to calm down, but it's what we have to do. So if we're, for example, to come back to what you were saying, Jean, that if you're, feeling kind of low and you're on the couch and those kinds of things, sometimes the hardest thing to do is to get up and do some exercise or go for a walk or make a healthy meal. But it's the thing we actually most need to do. Sometimes we have to keep putting one foot in front of the other for some time with those things that we know are going to make a difference. And and we have to call on all of our tools to do that. I mean, sometimes what gets us off the couch is to make a commitment to another person to say, hey, we're going to go out and go for a walk, or we're going to go do something. So involving our social network in that, and just pulling out all the stops to do the things that we know are going to be healthy, or to cook in community. That's another really, really beautiful way to attend to a number of different aspects that can be uplifting for us.
I love what you said about, having a buddy or a partner to help you. That's been so helpful to me. And even my dog to get me out and get me walking around. That's why we have dogs sometimes. Yeah, that's so true. Thank you for sharing all those tips, Holly. And also thank you for helping us feel better about ourselves, that this is normal when you're in that state to continue to do things that are negatively affecting us. I think that's a bit of a relief to know that that is a normal process. And we just talked about it. Yeah.
It is. And it's also a natural human tendency to blame ourselves when something is going wrong.
Yes.
And we need to recognize that's a part of the human condition, but it doesn't, just because the mind is thinking that doesn't mean that that's what's correct.
Yes, very good. Okay, Lisa, would you like to share about the connection between physical and mental health?
Well, I'm going to start with a question. So what if everything we're talking about, heart, from the brain, from the mind, things that I do, a lot of it came about, or you could have a lot of answers come about, I should say, when you answer this one question: who are you? Your true self, your real true self. I do something called origin excavation, and it's truth trials, and really going through the layers of the petal of the flowers to get to the core and the root. If you do that, can you imagine its impact ultimately if you're tied in, if you're really plugged into your truth about calming your mind, about dissolving stress, about being able to sleep more calmly and relaxed and restoratively, because those things that really get in our way are our inability to understand ourselves and how we show up in the world and how the world is showing up upon our lives. And so I like to start with just the thought of, maybe if you haven't, it's time for you to ask those questions and to do that work and to write that book. And yes, maybe it's not a book for publishing, but it's a book for you to understand the dimensions of all the things that are getting in the way of you experiencing the kind of life and joy that you want. And it's so in so many levels and layers, but the gorgeous aspect of it, and it is just gorgeous when you start to unravel and you start to answer some of the questions for yourself. And I look at the work that I do, that I can provide a lot of tools that can help to accentuate, help to this process to move along a little bit more rapidly for some. I like to think about my years. I think our whole life, every single thing that we do puts us in the place that we are now for the impact that we can provide. And so my years as a prosecutor, just interviewing hundreds of people and really getting to the core of what was. It wasn't the thing that we think most that's just showing us in the front end, but it's really what's inside. So I wanted to leave with a couple of tools on this. And of course, my gift is getting you into, like, let's get to the truth. Let's tell the truth. And I'm going to put some of those limiting beliefs and fears on trial, if you will, and do a little cross-examination, if you will. But I wanted to give you a couple of little quick tips that you can take right now. So right now, a lot of people, we don't breathe, right? And that is, if you're not breathing and I'm talking to you about, hey, let's excavate and let's get to the truth of you, and you're not hearing me because not enough oxygen's getting to your brain cells. One of the things that you can do to be in the top 20% of people that actually breathe is to get that DDB, that deep diaphragmatic breathing. And so quick tip is to exhale first. When you exhale first, you can start to feel all the dimensions of the breath all the way down as low as you can go, and then inhale through the nose like a cleansing breath. That one trick can help you to get into deep diaphragmatic breathing quicker. The other thing I'm going to talk about is something I need you to do today. So it is the gratitude continuum, right? So you wake up in gratitude, you go to bed in gratitude, you say a bunch of things in the middle of the day that you're really, really, truly grateful for. People say, hey, you need to be positive. This is the quickest way for you to find the positivity in your life, because guess what you're focusing on? The positivity in your life. But today I want you to add a dimension to it. Every single person you meet, give them a compliment. Not a fake compliment, not something that flies off. Look very deeply, have a bit of a conversation and give them a compliment. You're going to spread this gratitude because they're going to be grateful for whatever you said about them. And we start to build on this continuum. This is a health continuum. It is shown to improve every dimension of your health as you go through this process. So exhaling first, gratitude continuum, know thyself, for thyself, that's where the truth lies. And those are things that set you on a good health journey.
I love that. And I love that you're coming from that perspective of, your past and looking for the truth. So, and the gratitude is just such a powerful tool, isn't it? And I like what you said about looking for something positive, someone giving them the compliment, because that goes both ways, as you said. We give it and then we receive that joy back from them immediately. So thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa and Holly. And so I'd like to move into talking a little bit about depression. It's a significant public health concern affecting millions of people worldwide and influencing overall well-being, productivity, and quality of life. So if you could each share, Ilene and Linda, a tip or a technique to maintain positive mindset and embrace joy daily. Do you have one tip or technique that you use in your practice to maintain positive mindset and embrace joy? Go ahead, Ilene.
Well, depression, in my learning, is a form of anger. It's anger that we hold inside of ourselves. So one of the easiest ways to work with depression is to acknowledge the anger. What could you possibly be angry about? And with depression, it's often something that wasn't okay for you to express anger about when you were growing up. And a very simple way of dealing with it is take just a minute or so and close your eyes and start saying, I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm angry. I'm angry that I have this thing stuck in me and I can't figure out how to get it out of me. I'm angry, I'm angry. That's a very simple exercise. You can do it with any emotion and it has the capacity to lift depression. There is something we need to know, however. Doing an exercise like that can make the depression or the anger stronger. And if that happens, it means that you have a lot of built up anger inside of you, and you need to get some help with it because it's very difficult to do on your own. And all then that has to happen is you get it out of you, and once it's gone, you start living your life differently than we all are taught to hold on to anger. That's how come we get depressed. And emotions are energy. We need to move them on. And so that's what this little exercise will do. It'll move that anger right on through. Remember also that under anger is hurt. So you can do that exercise. I'm hurt, I'm hurt, I'm hurt. And it will automatically lift some of the burden.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I know in my practice, we talk about feeling. It's so important to feel it and reveal it and say what it is, which is you're saying, I'm angry. And then we can heal, feel, reveal, and heal. Thank you so much, Ilene, for talking us through that tip. And Linda, do you have a tip or technique for us today?
So I want to just make a comment off of what Ilene shared, because one of the things that I love that has become available in the world is rage rooms. I don't know if you guys have them in your area, but so many of us are well conditioned to, as you said, to repress our anger. We're not allowed to have it. And of course, then it comes out sideways. It turns into self-abuse, rage, addiction, all sorts of things. But when we learn how to really work with anger in a safe and healthy way, then we can move it out of our body and free ourselves. So you go to, there's lots of things that we can do ourselves, but the fact that you can go to a place and get a stack of dishes and hurl them against the wall and just move that energy out of your body and not have to worry about cleaning it up or buying new dishes, I think is a beautiful thing. So I just wanted to share that, because we really need to learn how to be with these emotions and give them space and allow them to move through our body in a safe, healthy way. And with anger is such a powerful and informing impulse, because what it does in its truest form is it tells us when something's happening, when we're being violated in some way, and there's something that we need to do to advocate for ourselves. So, but the anger, the energy of it is so fiery that we need to actually give that some attention and give it a place to move. And then once we are able to move that energy and get it out of our body, then we can connect with ourselves and tune into ourselves and say, what is it that I need? What has happened here? Where is this, what has been violated? And what do I need to do to support myself? And that can be setting some boundaries. That can be doing some form of self-care. That can be any number of things depending on what's happened. But it can be making changes in your life, or changes in a relationship, or changes maybe in how you're caring for yourself, doing some inner work to address some old wounds and some old hurts. But giving it space to be is liberating. Because when we're allowed to have connection with our emotions, whether it's anger or grief or joy, it allows us to be more fully present in our life. And it allows us to take conscious action to support ourselves in whatever way we most need.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that sounds like a great place to go, breaking the dishes. And we have some comments. I want to recognize some of the people were commenting while you were sharing, both of you, Ilene and Linda. Leah, could you read some of those to us?
Yes, the first is, what is the word that Linda said? It's a location? I missed that.
A rage room?
Rage room.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's businesses that have established themselves where you can go in and you can sign up to, just vent your spleen on, a stack of dishes. You can, take a bat and hit a car, things like that.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. That's liberating. So one comment is that's very liberating, and we need to find some of those places and let the emotions move through the body. And also Eileen's comment is, yes, Ilene, depression is anger turned inside. That changed my life when you told me. And it also began a beautiful growth of allowing love to be inside of me. Also compassion and love. And then I used to kick plastic water jugs in my garage to get rage moving out through my feet. Great.
Lots of comments here. Thank you so much for reading a few of them, Leah. I appreciate that. And we'd like to move forward here to an important part that's been touched on by all of you, I think, a little bit, and that's about community. And when I say community, I mean every aspect of that. What are your thoughts about maintaining valuable human connections, whether it be friends, family members, a trusted health and wellness practitioner, whoever it might be, during mental health crisis? And what advice can you offer for difficulties in doing this? So here you are, you're going through a mental trauma or challenge. Maybe the first thought isn't to get out there or connect with people. You're isolating. How do we break through that? And when we're having a mental wellness challenge? And I'd like to ask that of Holly and Lisa. Lisa, would you like to start first with that about community? And also, we have our community right here that supported us, and you might want to reflect on that as well.
Yeah, I don't think I can emphasize the importance of community enough. This is an amazing community, the Wellness Universe, the community. I look at it a little bigger than just the people that are part. It's everyone that shows up to anything that we do. We're all now family and community. I definitely look at that in any of the kind of organizations that I'm a part of. The saddest thing you can do is to retreat to yourself, because in yourself, especially everything that we've talked about, a lot of times you're saying things to yourself that are probably things you wouldn't say to a stranger in the street. We can be very, very cruel to ourselves, especially when we're in moments of need. And so to have community that sometimes it's not even, I have to tell you everything, or sometimes I just need to be around you and let me just be in this space with other people. And that can do so much for just the overall health and how you show up in your own life. And I can't really stress enough too that sometimes we narrow our definition of family and community, and it's only the people that we think check off XYZ boxes. But I like to think of it is that every day is an opportunity to grow my community. It's people that I just met. It's people on the street. It's someone in the grocery store. It's someone that I happen to have. We have the same dog breed, and we're talking. Community is so much greater. And then if you just take one extra step in when you're forming this, is to, instead of just talking about how sunny it is outside or the rain or you're cold or the surface things, to really share something that's true about you and hear something that's true about them. And it's a kind of a muscle to flex. It's not easy for some people in the front end, but I'm going to tell you what it does is it opens up the possibilities of growing your family in ways that you never even imagined. I'm very involved and tied into my church, and that has all sorts of community that's attached to it naturally, but it's not necessarily just the people that are in the pews. It's people that every single opportunity, I think I have an opportunity to grow my family. And just think if you walked into the world thinking that way, it's a much different way because you're not looking down, you're looking up. You're not just self-focused, you're open to the world. And that is puts you in a place of possible healing for you as you go through whatever that you are going through.
What a beautiful way of explaining that, Lisa. Thank you so much. I love what you're saying. It's not looking down, it's looking up and connecting with people in so many different ways. And we live in this wonderful age, of technology where if we are feeling down, we don't necessarily have to share our name. We can be anonymous. We can join groups. We can hear things like this presentation today. And we are connecting with community right now. There's just so many different ways that we can connect. So thank you for sharing that, Lisa. Appreciate that. Holly, would you like to share what community means to you with healing?
Absolutely. Actually, what's coming to mind for me are a couple of personal stories that I'd like to share. And one is where I was holding space for another, and the other is where someone was holding space for me. So many years ago, a dear, dear friend of mine who is an immigrant, he had the opportunity to have his sister come and visit him. And it was the first time in years that they would have seen each other. And because of where he was from originally, she got stopped at the border and they wouldn't let her come into the country. And so he phoned me and said, I'm absolutely devastated because my sister can't, they're not letting her come and see me. And so I went and I sat with him, and something that I've always been, I'm going to say, a little bit ashamed of is that as an empath, the way that I feel, and if someone else is crying, that it makes me cry too. And in that situation, I just let myself cry with him. And at the end of our visit, he said, thank you for crying with me. That was so meaningful for him. And it was in that moment, because he was such a dear friend, I allowed myself to let my guard down. And I didn't realize how important that is for people to feel that they're actually empathized with. You know, that it's not just like, oh, I feel your pain and it's painful for me too, but to actually go through that experience. And then the other side for me was a couple of years ago, I knew that I was taking my beloved dog into the vet for the very last time and that we'd be saying goodbye. And I phoned a dear friend. She came to be with me. And of course, I just absolutely cried my heart out. And she looked at me and she said, did you know that you're beautiful when you cry? She said, I don't get to see that very often. And it just touched my heart so much to be reminded that people actually want me to share myself with them. They don't always want me to be strong. And so I think for me, that's what's coming up about community, is that we need to have a whole community of people and to know who to call on a given moment, that we can share the truest feeling and expression of our heart in that moment. And it can be different people at different times. And just to make sure that we've got that list, and we've got that list of people that we're there for no matter what. We've got that list of people who we're going to call on them, and we know we can call on them no matter what. So, and the last thing I want to say about it too is that we've got this saying in our culture that giving is better than receiving. And I think we need to stop that, because we all need to give and we all need to receive, and we all need to be given to, we all need to be received. And so I think that's also a really important part of the community conversation. We can't go through life with those imbalances where I'm always the giver, or I'm always the receiver. So yeah, I'd say those are some of the things I'd like to share.
Beautiful. Your story just made me want to cry. Yeah, that's beautiful. Important. I'm very sensitive too. Yeah. What powerful. All of you ladies have been so powerful in what you're sharing. And I just so appreciate everything. I'm learning so much and resonating with everything that everyone's shared. I see some excitement in our in our chat here. Leah, would you like to sum up some of the things that were shared?
Yes. Summing up, I love what Lisa's saying. A listening community allows us to speak, be heard, and hear ourselves talk, all of which opens a door to making new and better choices. Listening is more powerful than talking many times. Showing empathy, feelings, crying, and caring from the heart is so healing. And then being listened to, this is really powerful. Being listened to is so close to the experience of being loved that for most people, they are indistinguishable. Wow.
Yes. Anything else, Leah? I didn't mean for you to rush at all.
We have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yes, yeah, that's a good one too. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, so I'd like at this point for us to go around and sum up by each person sharing briefly What important actionable step do you suggest others take today to step forward to better mental well-being? If you could just give one, and we'll just go around and let everybody share that. What would you share? And we'll just go around, and what I see here, we've got Holly, Ilene, Linda, and Lisa. We'll end with Lisa. Go ahead, Holly. One maybe associated with what you do in your practice, or whatever you'd like to share.
Absolutely. The first thing that I would love to, well, and I see that Leah has so kindly put my gift into the chat. So absolutely avail yourself of that, number one. And the other thing I just want to briefly circle back to was something that Lisa had said about that exhalation, focusing on the exhalation first. I want to share just a little bit more about that as well, because the exhalation is very much connected with rest and digest. The inhalation is connected with more of a nervous system activation. And so I always love to recommend to people, and this is the way that I work with my clients, is we work with balancing that nervous system in little moments along the day. Like you don't have to go and carve out a whole morning to go to a yoga class. You can take 3 breaths before you eat, and it's going to make all the difference. And I believe that it's so important to be doing those little actions throughout the day in those little 90-second or 3-minute or 5-minute intervals, that you start to gain that sense of personal empowerment. And that as you do that, you acknowledge, oh, look how powerful I am. I just changed my nervous system in this moment. And I shifted from, yeah, exactly. And it's like, I see Lisa going, oh, look at me. Like, just like really love on yourself through these practices. And yeah, so that's what I'd like to share. I know I can go on, but
thank you. Yes, thank you so much. And Holly's information and her free gift, everything is there in the chat. And we're going to move on to Ilene for her. Share just 1 minute your gift or your technique or tip of a step that someone can take right now, today.
Oh, I'd like to, first of all, my gift is a booklet that I wrote called about chaos, about the breakdown process that individuals go through and how to recover from that we're also going through in our world. And connected to that, I'd like to remind us that we're all becoming aware of ourselves as energy. And we're going to be occupying our energy bodies more, and the things that we do with our energy, like our breath, as you've been talking about, are very important. One of the things we do with our energy is we focus on problems. Right now, there's a big focus in the United States on a mental health crisis, okay? That means that our energy is going to the idea that we have a mental health crisis, and whatever we pay attention to, we feed energy to, and it gets bigger. So my suggestion, and one that I live by, is to pay attention to what you want to become, not to what you want to overcome. So instead of saying, oh, I have this problem, acknowledge you have the problem, learn something about it, but put your primary focus of your energy on who you're going to be when you don't have that problem. And every time it comes up, you go, well, how would I like to be instead? Well, what was I aiming for instead? And you, just like in meditation, you keep bringing yourself back to the place or the person that you want to be. And that'll make this a lot easier. I'm now 82 years old, and I look back on my life, and I have made things so hard. I can't believe I made it hard myself. I struggled. Okay. My philosophy now is if it's not easy and it's not fun, I'm not doing it. And I would like to inspire people younger than me to take on something like that. Finally, a lot of loneliness in the world. Loneliness the message of loneliness is we have more of our energy going out than coming in. We're not loving ourselves. And an easy way to correct that is to do something for which you have a talent or something that makes you feel really good.
Very
And,
good.
focus on making your life what you want it to be rather than focusing on problems.
Thank you so much. Great tips. Thank you, Ilene. And Linda, do you have a tip and assignment for our listeners and viewers right now?
An assignment?
Yeah.
We don't want to walk out here with work. We want things
in,
that nourish
in the most positive way. In the most
Right.
positive, and also share about your wonderful gift.
Yeah, I love that. So one of the most powerful tools that I find is in just creating space between stimulus and response, essentially. So when something comes at you, whether it's a request or something that's triggering you, it's somebody asking you to do something, taking time to pause, taking time to just give space to tune into self and say, what is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I want? What is it that I need? Because we're very prone to be more reactive to life. And especially if we carry some form of traumatic wounding, when somebody asks us to do something, if we tend towards people pleasing, for example, then we may automatically be saying, yes, of course. And then we pile on stuff that's beyond what our capacity is to handle, or maybe just we don't want to do it. So being able to build pause into our life, time to just tune into self, tune into our breath, get present in our body, notice what we're feeling, and asking ourselves, what do I need right now? What do I want? Is this something that I want to do? Is this something I have capacity to do? Or what am I feeling and how do I need to respond to what's happening in front of me? Instead of just being reactive, we can be responsive to life. So being able to just give space around ourself and start self-referencing is a powerful way to be more present in your life and be much more self-supportive.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And your gift?
My gift is a guidebook that provides a series of 4 different practices that you can use, including practicing creating space and pausing, that just help to regulate the nervous system. And there's audio guides that go with that.
Fabulous. Thank you. And all the information about Linda and Ilene and Polly so far are in the chat. And Lisa, finally with you, would you like to end our discussion and sharing your step that you have or tip?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say that mental health isn't a weakness, it's a journey towards wisdom. And I love what some of my fellow panelists said, how you put together the words upon your life. Is it on the negative or is it on the positive? It's a journey that we are all on. And I will say my gift is really to recognize that every word you speak, every thought you have, every emotion that you feel does not happen in a vacuum. If you don't take the time to actually get at the origin, you're bound to let it repeat and control pieces of your life. And so my gift is really to start you to take that truth trial, that origin excavation, that ability to really understand you. The greatest book that'll ever be written is the book of your story. What I wanted to leave you with today is an exercise that you can do right now, and I hope that you really do. One of the greatest things that we hold on to is a lack of forgiveness. Now, we may say, well, that person didn't deserve it, or that situation doesn't deserve my attention any longer. But if you are holding on to anything, it is like holding an anchor around your neck, tied to that event that you so desperately want to leave behind you. But any moment, it can be dropped into the water, and therefore you can be dropped with it. So one of the things that's just an easy, beautiful, did you hear I said easy? Because it's not hard. It is to tie in with breath, forgiveness. I call it the forgiving breath. So you'd simply take in a nice cleansing inhale about whatever it is, because it's probably on the stressor side of things that you're letting go. And on your exhale, you say, I forgive. We have so much more power than we think we do. And for some, that one time through might be enough. For some, it's just a practice that you're going to get in, but you're recognizing that that's an essential part of your journey. I would invite you to add forgiving breath and really recognize any forgiveness that is in your life that you have yet to really allow to let go out of your life. Because I will tell you, it is still a burden for you if you're holding on to it. So the gift of forgiveness is one that will last you a lifetime.
Beautiful, thank you. And I love what you said about having an anchor around your neck and letting it go, and the gift of forgiveness. And as you said that, I felt that anchor leaving, so thank you so much. So I will add mine to it. I'm Jean Boystart, expressive arts, grief, and trauma therapist. And for me, I work with expressing. I'm all about feelings, helping people feel and express it through the arts. So something that you can do right now, we're not looking at you. You can get up and move as you're dancing through the arts. You can close your eyes and draw with your eyes closed and express. It's great to do it with your eyes closed because you're not trying to fix things. That's a tip that I can give for people right now. And my gift is a private session with me, and that information is in the chat. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, all of you fantastic, brilliant presenters, for sharing your wisdom, insights, and expertise regarding this important topic, mental well-being, a holistic health perspective. Yeah, thank you all. I really think we covered a lot of areas here, and you were just brilliant in what you shared. And thank you to all who are attending, and your comments were just so beautiful. We really appreciate that engagement there. Thank you. Applause to all of you attending, and those who are watching on replay. We have some information there in the chat. So a pop-up is going to be asking you for your rating and review after this session, and we appreciate you taking a moment to add your rating and review. If someone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please seek help. Resources are including mental health professionals, support groups, and hotlines. Mental Health Awareness Month reminds us to care for our mental health and reach out when needed. And a list of mental health resources is available in the chat. So thank you for attending today's session and supporting the Mental Health Awareness 2025 event. A portion of the proceeds supports a nationally recognized mental health organization and the Wellness Universe. We're grateful for your Pay What You Can donation. And there's a link for you right here, right now in the chat to make that donation if you'd like. Our next session will begin at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Stress Management for Everyday Life. Join Nancy Stevens and Nicole Batiste for this powerful session, and you'll learn Nancy's 4R Reset and Nicole's Scan the Room game, plus receive special gifts to support your inner peace journey. So thank you, Leah, for pasting and helping me with monitoring this event. Please leave a rating again and review when you're prompted. We hope you've had a 5-star experience. We're now going to stop the recording of this program. Thank you all for your support. Bye-bye.